Okay, we're back in open session. Any further discussion on the matter? County Executive Showman? Schuman?
Sheriff Schultes, could I just ask you a question for the board to hear the answer to? And the question is, if we decided to hold off or not purchase this property, and this gets delayed, what does that mean for the radio project specifically?
So this tower site is literally the last piece of the puzzle for implementation of the expansion of that 700 system that we talked about, that the municipalities have to make it equal throughout the entire county. As I said, in closed session, and I can say it openly in open session, is the worst case scenario for us is that if we don't purchase this property and we lose the opportunity to purchase this property, and something happens with the town gravel pit property that makes it not usable, that doesn't pass the NEPA studies, the soil boring, something goes wrong, we have zero ability to erect the tower in for the coverage in the town of Erin in the southwestern part of Washington County.
And at this point, we'd have to find another piece of property. And how long of a delay in your radio project are you talking?
So even the NEPA studies that we want to do at the town gravel pit site is probably 4 to 6 months from when we give the go ahead.
So we're not talking, you're not really talking 4 to 6 months. You're probably talking 12 to 18. By that delaying, that one delay in the chain will push everything behind it farther behind, right?
Yes, I imagine if we found another parcel of property that could work, what that would entail is then probably having to go to the town board to probably section off, subdivide a portion of property. It could involve the city of West Bend or city of Hartford with their jurisdictional reach. So yes, it would. We're at crunch time now is what it really boils down to.
Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Conrath?
Yeah, I just want to speak to some points that are going to help drive my decision a little bit, discussions about eminent domain not being an option, liability concerns with leasing versus owning. The sheriff stated too that the airstrip, actually that the FAA has stated that would not be a safety concern. Correct, Sheriff? Okay. And two, I do appreciate everyone being here to share your voice. And I just hope too that you all have had this voice too shared at your own town of Erin meetings, because they really need to hear your voice also and to help partner with the county to help us make the best decision here.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll vote on this electronically. Yeah, Kristen? Supervisor Dice, could you text your voting? She did. We did not get it. If you'd like to, you can indicate with an A or nay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, motion passes unanimously with one abstention. Oh, one no, I'm sorry, one no. Okay, we're gonna move up, resolution, 2021, resolution 46, commendation of Jeffrey Schwitz.
Whereas Jeffrey Schwitz has contributed 35 years of loyal service to the citizens of Washington County, whereas Jeffrey Schwitz has chosen to retire from his present position as deputy sheriff in the sheriff's office, now therefore be it resolved that the Washington County Board of Supervisors pause in its deliberations to pay tribute and to commend Jeffrey Schwitz for his 35 years of meritorious service. Be it further resolved that on behalf of all citizens of Washington County, this body does herewith extend to him heartfelt thanks for his many accomplishments and successes. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Jeffrey Schwitz as a token of appreciation on the part of this board.
I think it's very, very appropriate that everybody gives him a standing ovation because this man has not been just a deputy. He has been part of the community. He has reached out. He's been there for everybody. He doesn't have no in his vocabulary. He's everything for everybody and always there, always smile on his face, always doing the extra. You're gonna be missed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
My wife can attest to that. So the sheriff gave me 2 minutes to talk. Mr. Freefall, Mr. Chairman gave me 90 seconds. I don't know if I have to pay $1 a minute after that. Thank you all, County Board Supervisors, for being here and for the ovation. First, I would like to thank my wife, Bonnie. I actually retired on September 14th, our 47th wedding anniversary. I want to thank all of my special friends that's in the gallery over there. It looks like a very cool. Special friends with Sheriff Marty Schulteis and Captain Rob Pacer. I worked with them my whole career. I was the oldest guy at 65 and the most senior guy. And, you know, people say to find a job you love going to, you'll never work another day in your life. Well, on June 13th, 1988, I stopped working. I did not consider this a job at all. Our deputies worked 5 on, 2 off, 5 on, 3 off. And I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, our lieutenant said, when was the last day you worked? Meaning he could give us our briefing notes. He said, June 13th, 1988, sir. And our dispatcher, what is that? He said, when I started here, sir, you don't think this would work? I said, no. So I've been very fortunate in my career. To the citizens, to the county, I mean, I truly, you can ask the sheriff or the captain or anybody that I've worked for, I truly do love my job. The first day I started, I loved it the day I retired. I miss the guys. You hear people say they miss the people, but not the job. I miss both. But I've been busier than all heck after retirement, but I don't know when I found time for work. Very special friends I play cards with, ride motorcycles with, golf with. Part of American Legion Riders and Sons of American Legion. We raise money for veterans. So my birthday was March 1st. On February 28th, my son came over and gave me a can of beer, 19% alcohol, and said, do not slam this down. Do not drink this after mowing lawns. Someday when you come home after a bad day at work, just sit and drink it. That can of beer is still in my refrigerator because I did not have a bad day at work. So I'm truly honored by this award and everybody here and the friends that are here and the sheriff and the captain. Thank you all very much. It's quite an honor.
Okay. Thanks for allowing the jumping around all over the agenda. So we'll get back on track. Personal appearances, letters and other communications, United Way presentation. Yeah, we agreed on. Oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion and a second for Jeff's commendation. Supervisor Guzzi, Supervisor Kelly. We get all in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. A little backwards, but. Yeah, well, I gotta bring him back now. He's not officially retired. Here you go. We agreed on what, 5 minutes? Oh, hang on, let me turn you on. From the cursor.
Okay. Good evening, Julie Driscoll, Health and Human Services Director. We are going to be doing a United Way presentation for you this evening. Jamie and I are the fortunate ones this year to chair United Way for Washington County this year, and we are trying something a little bit different. And so typically Washington County has about a 5% participation rate for the United Way, and we're trying to increase that by a few percentages. 10, 15, 20 would be great. And so we have a video we're going to show you that sort of describes some of the impact that United Way has for Washington County employees. But as you know, the United Way funds many of the nonprofits in our community that furthers the work of Washington County and our mission. And so we are asking for all Washington County employees to look into their hearts to see if they could afford a few dollars to support the United Way. And we're asking each employee, and that includes county board supervisors, to complete their forms and turn them in, regardless if you're going to be donating or not. So at the end of today's session, we would like you to turn them up at the up to the county clerk for us. We would just like your name on that. If you can look into your heart and find some amount to donate to the United Way to support the work that they do for Washington County, we would greatly appreciate it. If you cannot, we understand, but we would still like that form turned in. But we do have a short video that we would like you to watch.
It wasn't playing sound. Do I need to turn the screen on differently, Ashley?
I give to the United Way because, for one, they're a very stable organization. They provide a lot of funds to various nonprofits in the human services area of Washington County. It's easy, a little bit off each paycheck. It's out of sight, out of mind, but I have a peace of mind knowing that's going to a worthwhile cause. It's helping human services and it's helping the budget of Washington County. As a county employee for a long time, I believe in the public service that we do provide, even though my field is not necessarily in the human services department, but it makes a stronger, better community for all.
I started giving in 1975. That's 45 years ago. They go out to the community and they give those dollars to other entities, 501c3s, non-for-profit, and they in turn help others. They help those in need. And often I'll hear someone say, well, I don't give because, and you fill in the blank. And I say, if there's 1, 2, or 3 organizations that you prefer not to have your money go to, you can designate. That's what I like about it.
I give to the United Way because I am deeply blessed with healthy children, a roof over our heads, in a neighborhood that we love, and more food and more stuff than one family would ever need. The United Way knows about our community's needs and puts our resources where they're needed most locally in times when our neighbors have nowhere else to turn.
I give to the United Way because they provide much needed funding to the wonderful organizations we have here in Washington County, especially at this critical time during the pandemic and obviously beyond.
I give to the United Way because my family and I are grateful to live in such a great community, and we want to give back in any way that we can.
Join me to live united.
So that is our presentation. And so just to repeat the directions, we would like you to complete your form. If you could find it in your hearts to donate to the United Way, we would be grateful for that. And please turn in those forms up at the county clerk before you leave tonight. And also just to keep an eye out, we are doing the United Way auction again this year. And so that will go live in November. And we're going to have some really great items. And for you bourbon drinkers, there's going to be a very hard to find select bourbon as one of the auction items, along with a lot of other items as well. So look for that email and that information in November. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, guys. Just so everyone's aware, I will not entertain a motion to adjourn until everybody turns in their paperwork. I don't. You want it back? Okay, consideration upon request reading of resolutions, ordinances, 2021 resolution 45, commendation of Catherine Lucas, looking for motion. Supervisor Mary, Supervisor Guzzi.
Whereas Catherine Lucas has contributed 31 years of loyal service to the citizens of Washington County, and whereas Catherine Lucas has chosen to retire from her present position of Program Support Supervisor in the Human Services Department, now therefore be it resolved that the Washington County Board of Supervisors pause in its deliberations to pay tribute and to commend Catherine Lucas for her 31 years of meritorious service. Be it further resolved that on behalf of all citizens of Washington County, this body does herewith extend to her heartfelt thanks for her many accomplishments and successes. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Catherine Lucas as a token of appreciation on the part of this board.
We'll stand with the normal. (2021) resolution 47, commendation of Nina Tibian. Don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but. Motion, Supervisor Schultheis. Supervisor John Chaudron. Sorry.
Whereas Tibian has contributed 18 years of loyal service to the citizens of Washington County, and whereas Nina Tibian has chosen to retire from her present position of dining services cook at Samaritan Health Center, now therefore be it resolved that the Washington County Board of Supervisors pause in its deliberations to pay tribute and to commend Nina Tibian for her 18 years of meritorious service. Be it further resolved that on behalf of all citizens of Washington County, this body does herewith extend to her heartfelt thanks for her many accomplishments and successes. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Nina Tibian as a token of appreciation on the part of this board.
Stand. Okay, 2021 resolution 48, initial resolution authorizing 13 million in general obligation bonds for emergency communication systems project. So everyone knows this is a 3/4 vote. Entertain a motion. Supervisor Chris Pollock, Supervisor Markwart. Any questions on this? In discussion, Supervisor Krebs.
Can you just compare and contrast the difference between 48 and resolution 48 and 49?
You want to speak to that, Fred? Oh, Mark.
Okay. So the resolutions are very similar. We are required to have separate motions on them, though. Essentially, the first resolution gives us the authorization to actually issue debt of 13 million. The second resolution tells us to do that via competitive sale with our financial advisor. So they are very closely related, which is why they came through with one report, but they do require separate action from the board. So.
Thank you. I kind of assumed that, but I just wanted to hear it. The other question I had is in the resolution, it talks about the repayment is done by dedicated funding sources for posterity, I think I wrote down. How are we repaying the 13 million?
The $13 million has been structured so that there is about a $1 million annual debt obligation that has been built into the county's capital improvement project funding, which is dedicated sales tax funding.
Perfect, thank you.
Mhm.
Supervisor Gallus.
I think part of this was just addressed, but you said there's a 2 million shortage already. So the $1 million that you're talking about,
The $1 million is just for repaying this debt
That's-
issue. The shortage, we will address as we get closer to it. Right now, the project, part of that shortage is like an assumed contingency amount, which we may or may not need. We also have a resolution that'll be coming forward, I believe, next month or the month after. There's another $856,000 that the county has available from a previous jail savings that will go against that shortage. So we'll kind of chip away as we get closer and as we find the need.
right? So the bond sales, we're confident we're going to raise the 13 million.
Yes, they'll be issued as a $13 million sale. They will be competitively bid, but they are bid as a $13 million package.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll vote on this electronically. Oh, sorry. Supervisor Schleif.
Just curious, what kind of interest does such a bond pay now?
Not sure. Right now, we're projecting around 2%, but we believe it'll probably end up closer to maybe 1.6.
Supervisor Conrad.
Thank you. There's just recently been concern from the community of, this $13 million price tag scares people and like, oh, what's the effect on the taxpayer? I don't think people out in the community understand that at all. Can somebody give a little synopsis of how this affects the taxpayer and why that $13 million price tag? I know that's a lot to ask, but there's been some concern shared with me this past week.
Thanks for the opportunity. The basic answer is the way that we do business in the last 8 years in Washington County is we live within our means. And so we're living within our means. Our existing amount of revenue that we've gotten over the last couple of years, we're going to stay within and borrow this money and still be able to pay for it. So taxes not only won't go up, we're actually going to cut taxes in the budget that you're going to see next month by $1 million. So this is about $1 million principal and interest payment. I guess you could look at it as the reward for having an interest payment of $1 million is we're also going to cut your taxes by $1 million. So it means we set it up in such a way that we won't be taxing anything additional and we'll be cutting.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, we'll vote on this electronically. Unanimous. Motion passes unanimously. 2020 Resolution 49, resolution providing for the sale of $13 million general obligation communications project bonds, series 2021. Motion, Supervisor Marquardt, Supervisor Newman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote on this electronically. It's a simple majority, correct? Motion passes unanimously. 2021 Resolution 50, installation of stop signs. Yeah, he's right over there. Yep. Stop signs on County Trunk Highway F, Freistadt Road. Supervisor Bishop, Supervisor Shoudron. Any discussion on this? Any questions? Hearing none. Oh, Supervisor Schleif got in just at the last minute here. I gotta find my cursor here. There you go. All right.
There was a traffic study done and I couldn't believe how many pages and how many hoops that this whole thing had to jump through. My hat's off to Scott Schmidt, who worked along with the highway commissioner for Ozaki County through this process, and my committee voted unanimously for this. So I urge you to support it.
Thank you. Okay, see no further discussion. We'll vote on this electronically. Everybody? Motion passes unanimously. 2021 Resolution 51, grant of easement, TDS Telecom County Campus. For motion Supervisor Schleif, second Supervisor Mary. I have to call you out of order now. Okay, any discussion? Supervisor Kelling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This will probably be addressed to Commissioner Schmidt. With the installation of this TDS telecom easement, I'm just wondering, with our current future campus plans, in your opinion, does this interfere with anything we might need to do with the property in question? Because obviously that property is under consideration for a lot of different changes. So I want to be ensured that this isn't going to be something that's going to prevent us in some way from doing some of those changes that we desire.
Yes, you can be assured of that. So a couple of different things we've got going on here. If you look at its location, there was a sketch of it. It's right up against the right-of-way line. Sorry, Supervisor. It's right up against the right-of-way line. So what that means, it's within the building setback. So we can't put a building in that area. If you look just south of it, away from Highway 33, there's a We Energies easement behind that particular parcel as well. Again, an area we can't do much with. You also look, there's a storm sewer system on both the east and west side of it coming off of Highway 33, and a nice ditch that runs between 33 and our driveway to our assisted living center. So it's truly, and if you look to even a little bit further east of that, there's a large electrical transformer as well. So about as best a spot as you could find was, this is an area that just is not utilized and can't be in the future because of like building setbacks, the We Energies easement behind it. Under the sidewalk is a gas main. So it's just a perfect spot to kind of fit this in on our location. And I think we've got a really good use of the funds for that as well.
Okay, thank you for your due diligence on that.
Supervisor Krebs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this easement granted solely to TDS Telecom? Or would other public utilities be able to utilize this area too?
It would be for TDS only. Typically speaking, we run them by the county attorney. Will look at the final documentation yet. But in the past, it's been my practice, and previous county attorney, I believe this one too, is exclusive to that. We put language in there too of other stuff that they can't do within there to make sure they're.
The
in
language
compliance.
would be exclusive of utility type use only, I would assume.
It would be for TDS or their assigns.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, see no further questions. We'll vote on this electronically.
Chairman?
Sir,
to address the dollars and cents or not?
if you like. Okay, go ahead.
So we reported at Human Services Committee about this project as well. You can see it's money, but it's a relatively nominal sum. At previous executive committee meetings, there's been discussion about making a kind of a final assist to the 9/11 memorial. And this dollar amount is very close to what has been discussed in the past. We've actually had conversations with the 9/11 memorial about making such a contribution. And they're interested in using it for to create a scholarship fund for firefighters, EMTs, police officers, and military and or their family members. And so That would be the proposal, is that these dollars would be allocated to that purpose. And in addition to that, the dollars that I reject on an annual basis from my salary would go to this as well. And then asking between them, the Police Chiefs Association here in Washington County and the Fire Chiefs Association to come up with an additional match so we can give $1,000 scholarship to every one of those categories every year.
Great, awesome. Okay, no further discussion. We'll vote on this electronically. Everybody in? Looks like she's on it right now. Did you send it in, Supervisor Dice? No. Haven't received it. You want to just give a yay or nay?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. 2021 Resolution 52, Acceptance of Youth Justice Innovation Grant. Looking for a motion, Supervisor Sorcy, Supervisor Gunrum. Any questions, any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on this electronically.
Yes, for me. Yes.
All right, thank you. Yeah. Your motion passes unanimously. 2021 Resolution 53, Grant Application, Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, Workforce Innovation Grant Program, authorize a housing revolving loan fund and authorize a housing endowment fund. Supervisor Mahalik, Supervisor Kelling. You want to speak to that, County Executive Showman?
Certainly. As you can see in front of you tonight, there are a number of edits that are being recommended. It's very, very broad. This is a large grant, and with all of the American Recovery Plan Act dollars, there's imminent deadline for the grant. So this is a grant through the state of Wisconsin. So American Recovery Plan Act dollars to the state that we're applying for to the state of Wisconsin. What we're attempting to do here is have, our original thought was to match state dollars or federal dollars through the state with American Recovery Plan Act dollars that the county received in tandem into a housing revolving loan fund, similar to what we have with EDWC on kind of on the prosperous business side of the equation. What we've learned as we've gone along here is the revolving loan fund concept probably does not work for the grant application. And so we'd still like to get the grant from the state, so that doesn't go to someone else, quite honestly, and that we're able to use it here in Washington County. The program, the Our Great Community Program, aligns perfectly, and more specifically, the Next Generation Housing Plan requested by Mayor Mahalik and the Hartford Area Development Corporation, but which applies to 7 villages and cities across the county. The results of that fit even better with what's being offered from the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. So as you can see, it's relatively vague. This is about as entrepreneurial as government gets, where we're trying to apply for dollars that are going to allow us to have an impact on the market without manipulating the market. It's part of the reason that you're seeing we're proposing building this and creating this coalition. And as part of this resolution, this was discussed in Land Use and Planning Committee, we're creating a Next Generation Housing Committee. Now, if we wanted to create a Next Generation Housing Committee, I could certainly do that as county executive, but the idea with the resolution is to show that we have buy-in from the county board with the letter, as well as buy-in from via letters of intent from all of the municipalities who are involved, and try to make the umbrella or the tent as big as we possibly can, showing, we're all kind of supportive of conceptually of solving this challenge. So the reason that you're seeing what you're seeing today in the draft, and I know, and I apologize for having a bunch of red line items sitting in front of you without having a chance to look at it. You know that we don't typically do that. But the deadline is 2 weeks away, so we could. We didn't. Can we get the red lines to everybody?
If we just give them the updated version printed out with the backup material
If you would like to, you go to land and
I
planning
understand.
meeting and you can pull that up then on your iPads. No, it's not there either.
Well, we
Oh.
will.
Oh, you did it today. Oh, okay. I wasn't at that meeting. Okay.
But they have not seen that
Okay.
unless they're on land use and plan committee.
They have it right now.
The county board does.
They have the updated version of the red.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
But when
So-
you say red, they don't see red, so.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Got
It's-
it.
It's revised. Okay. Okay.
There's a lot of red for our kids and our grandkids with the American Recovery Plan Act. But so as you can see, there's a whole lot of edits. I'm sorry to do that. The Land Use and Planning Committee went through all of those. But what you're looking at that doesn't have red on it is much more generic, and it's much more aimed at applying for and getting the grant. As I said, the Land Use and Planning Committee, when we were originally drafting this resolution and ultimately the grant, we were trying to fit ourselves into the grant, and we quickly came to the conclusion, we don't want a $10 million grant to be the tail wagging the dog of this project. So instead, we're trying to be generic with the language in the resolution, trying to be more generic in how the grant application is filed, and hope that the next generation housing plan speaks for itself. If we don't get the $10 million grant, we don't get the $10 million grant. But we're hopeful we will, because our entire goal is oriented towards working with builders, developers, realtors, the banking industry, and trying to find how do we help in the niche area of the market space that's currently got a void, which we've demonstrated in the housing plan exists. And once we've helped kind of create that space and get the government the hell out of that area and let the private sector take over again. So I want continual reports back to the Land Use and Planning Committee. As I said to them, I'm not sure that I can promise monthly, but certainly at minimum quarterly, they'll be hearing updates from what's coming out of that next generation housing committee. The letters of intent that are coming, we're requesting of the municipalities should guarantee that committee is formulated and that there's something to bring back to Land Use and Planning Committee. And when that happens, we'll have a better idea of where those grant dollars are going to go. And probably more importantly, from a county board's perspective, if we use Washington County American Recovery Plan Act dollars, where those are going to go. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Jamie's here with me as well, and she can maybe go into a little more detail if necessary. But as you can read, this is a pretty generic resolution for a pretty generic grant application that we want to try and tackle the Our Great Community Initiative with.
Supervisor Conrath.
Yeah, I'm for this grant application and everything, but I have some concerns about the next generation housing and the overall vision with, representing a township. But I'm thinking I should probably separate those two.
Relative to this resolution, correct?
Correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Supervisor Gallitz.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to add to Executive Showman's comment that in land use and planning, it was clear that yet within months or weeks, whatever the case may be, that we will be seeing the housing revolving loan fund and/or endowment fund that will be coming sometime in the future.
Yes, that will be coming sometime in the future, as well as one of the items that was stricken that you can't see because you don't have red, was that we still are intending to work with local businesses for contributions to help provide partially forgivable loans. So In other words, this isn't just going to be County American Recovery Plan Act money. It's not just going to be state money. But we feel strongly that businesses and local governments and civic groups need to have skin in the game somehow. So we fully intend to go to a number of our large employers in particular, but employers throughout Washington County, and say, we know that one of the big reasons we've got to solve this problem is so prosperous businesses have prosperous lives to work in those businesses, so we can all keep continuing that prosperity chain. So there's a number of those kinds of dots that still need to be connected. This is an opportunity to basically double our ability by getting a state grant in, and that's our hope, and that's our ask for you today.
Supervisor Mary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In response to Supervisor Conrad's comments, yes, this is it's separate from, but yet it's part of. The entire coalition is a part of, it's a separate part of this. That's moving forward. This grant is also a primary funder of that. And the two have to move down the tracks together simultaneously on this. And obviously, as we move forward on this, hopefully this will get approved in a few months. We'll know where exactly we're at. But in the meantime, the whole coalition binding, that process is underway at the same time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Gunner.
Like with any money, $10 million grant, it's not really totally free. So I just want to know what kind of strings come attached to this? What kind of requirements for the grant are there?
So they're all the same types of strings that the American Recovery Plan Act dollars have that belong to the county now, which is exclusively the reason why we removed the revolving loan fund option as an option, because there's too many strings attached for us to try and navigate loan funds managed by the state through the feds. So our goal is to try and narrow this down to workforce housing specifically, because we know that's something that explicitly is allowed under the American Recovery Plan Act. So the question becomes, what mechanisms are used? Is it down payment programs? Is it paying for infrastructure? That's where the devil's in the details, and we want to keep kind of all of our options open. So I think as long as we stay within those lines, there aren't any strings attached other than reporting requirements, as long as we follow their rules. Does that answer your question?
And so when you say rules, what kind of rules are you saying?
Reporting requirements.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay.
Yep. And their reporting requirements are exhaustive, so similar to like a community development block grant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, see no further discussion. Vote on this electronically.
I'm yes. Yes,
Gotcha.
okay.
Everybody in? Motion passes unanimously. Our next meeting date, Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 at 6:00 PM. I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Oh. Well, I'm gonna give you the latitude. Motion by Supervisor Krebs, second by Supervisor Guzzi. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.